Okay, hello. So here are the explanations for the next project, which is called the Remarkable Figures Project. It's comprised of research and a text, and it's going to be worth 16%. And it's the last bigger project before the end of the semester and the épreuve terminale. So we're already there. So here we go. What do you have to do? Remarkable figures. So a famous person, a remarkable person, related to your field of study, of course, and or your future job, if you know what that is. Good for you. So you have to pick someone well known that you can research on, and it can be someone dead or alive, as long as they have or have had an impact on their field of study. So the broad field of sciences de la nature, for example, could be fine, but you can choose something a bit more specific. So yes, pick someone well known, but not the most obvious choice. I have nothing against Albert Einstein and Marie Curie, for example, but yeah, I've had quite a few presentations on these people, so I would like you to research and find someone that you find inspiring and interesting, and that had an impact, that contributed to their field in a noticeable way. And then you have to research on that part. If you go back to the first weeks of the semester, we talked about how to find reliable sources. I can give you back the links for that. Um, so basically, you have to find pertinent, reliable sources, and they have to be, well, you have to have at least two. One has to be video or audio, and video, not a video with a bunch of subtitles or text. That's not the point. So one video, one text article. The video can also be a podcast, and I will tell you why in a second after that part. So this is just for you to be a bit inspired on the types of people you could pick from, instead of, as I said, picking the very first that comes to mind. So I'm not going to read that. You have access to it. So if you're, depending on your field of your program, there can be various different options. And if you're not so sure, just write me a message. We can schedule a video chat and we can discuss your choice. Yeah, so this should be really fun. So pick someone that you find inspiring. So there are two elements, as I said before, a research on a topic, and you will have to fill out a document that I will show you in a minute. So it's going to be the crap test we talked about on week 2, actually. So the beginning of the semester. You have to justify why your source is pertinent and trustworthy and reliable. For that, I do not want you guys to pick Wikipedia as a source. I mentioned it before, but I'm mentioning it again. Wikipedia is a good starting point for you to find other references, but it's my pedagogical choice that I say no Wikipedia as your source. So one audio/video that has to be a minimum of 4 minutes long, because a video of a minute is not long enough for you to be able to get some content. And a text that is a minimum of 700 words long. So just, if you don't, obviously it's not written in the text how many words there are. You can copy and paste it into Word and find the word count there. If you don't find a long enough video or a long enough text, you can make shorter ones, like 2 little articles or 2 shorter videos that make a total of minimum 4 minutes combined. And then you have a document to fill out on that. So this is worth 6%. It's 3% for compréhension orale and 3% for compréhension écrite, so listening and reading. So you are evaluated on that, and it counts, and it's important. And I give you the whole document, so it should be fairly simple, and it will help you organize your content and your ideas. And then the second part is the actual text. I'm asking for 400 words, which is not very long. This should be fine. You answer, I say argumentative. it's an academic essay format, which you saw. Argumentative in the sense that you have to prove that this person was influential in their field of study. But it's not an opinion text like, I think that this person is inspiring. Not at all. Okay? You don't include yourself in the text. I don't want anyone to say something like, my field of study is biology, therefore I picked Charles Darwin because I find him amazing. No. That's not the point. You present it as a fact. So Charles Darwin was a very influential person in his field for such and such reasons. Okay? So you follow basic essay structure. The elements of the intro, the hook, the background, the thesis statement, 2 paragraphs, and then you use the content you found in your sources, obviously, but you have to paraphrase. Don't copy anything. We talked about plagiarism. I will not accept any plagiarism, obviously, so be careful with that. But put some meat on the bone. I want some interesting content, okay? I don't want you to stay on the surface. You have points for content, and you have skills to create some good content. You'll have researched on the topic. So make it interesting. And it has to be related to your field of study or your future job for some, if it's something very specific. Okay, so research and then write a text. As I said, 400 words, not very long, but make them good words. Okay, I could say that in French. Tu sais, je suis capable aussi de rajouter du texte qui veut rien dire pour avoir plus de mots. For 400 words, have your words mean something, okay? No need to put very long introductions because you have just 2 arguments total, okay? Make it good content, please. And then this is just to guide you a little bit. How can it be structured? I give you a few options for the body. So intro and conclusion, it's the same as usual. In that case, since we're talking about a person, we could include a first paragraph of, let's say, a short biography of the person that could show their journey, their studies, their evolution in their field. You could also state how their field was before they came into action and before they contributed to it. So this could be your first paragraph. Like, consider that as a bigger background as you would have in the introduction. So that could be acceptable for the first paragraph. And then the second one, then you would use the actual impacts and contributions that this person had on their field. So these would be your justifications. So arguably your second paragraph would be longer than the first one. This is not a biography essay. You don't have to just tell me about this person's life without identifying their actual contributions, okay? You have to focus on their impact, but it's, if you find it pertinent to give some background info on that person's biography, then please do. For some people, it might not be as pertinent to tell me that they were born in Oklahoma and they lived a regular life. If it doesn't really emphasize their remarkable status, then don't necessarily say it, okay? But I trust your judgment, and if you're not sure, contact me. Second option, you could just go straight to the impacts and contribution while including the biography inside that, because it would be logical. So their first general impact and their second or third. So if you pick someone who invented things, let's say Benjamin Franklin, you could show his impact in politics and then his impacts as an inventor in science and technology. That could be okay, depending on your field. But yeah, very fun project, I think. Let me know if you have questions. Let's say if you're in science, sciences de nature, you know you want to be a doctor. You don't necessarily have to pick a doctor. It can be someone that operated in the overall field. So if you want to go, if you want to look at it in a very narrow way, it might be more difficult to find some pertinent sources on the person, etc. But yeah, again, if you have trouble finding a person, contact me. This is the correction key, so the elements that I will be looking at. It's not very clear on there, but I will give you a PDF version, which you'll be able to look at. So grammaire orthographe, this is worth a few points. So 35% de l'ensemble de l'exercice, qui vaut 100%. Rédaction cohérente et claire d'un texte informatif / argumentatif. Là, j'ai une petite erreur ici, je vais aller le modifier. Mais il y a beaucoup d'informatifs, inévitablement. Adéquation entre les procédés de communication, le type de document. Bon, ben, est-ce que votre texte est clair? Est-ce que les mots de transition sont efficaces? Est-ce que vous parlez d'un personnage important? Est-ce que vous respectez les exigences? Pas de première, pas de deuxième personne, pas de référence au texte. Dans ce texte, je vais montrer que don't do that. Est-ce que c'est en lien avec votre champ d'études? Structure, est-ce qu'on est en intro, body, conclusion? Est-ce que ça respecte la structure vue en classe virtuelle? Et la qualité du contenu, j'ai entré aussi là-dessus la partie de reading et listening grid et crap test. Est-ce que vous avez des sources fiables? Est-ce que vous avez bien justifié la pertinence de vos sources? Est-ce que vous me dites quelque chose d'intéressant ou vous écrivez 2 paragraphes à partir d'une seule phrase de contenu, puis après ça, c'est juste des mots de transition, puis excusez, du paraphrasing. Bon, ok, est-ce qu'il y a du contenu? Pénalité de retard, pénalité aussi pour si vous n'avez pas assez de mots, mais ça devrait aller. Je corrige la grammaire et l'orthographe à partir d'un pourcentage d'erreurs. Donc, je compte toutes les erreurs, mais elles ne valent pas tous les mêmes points. Donc, vous n'êtes pas pénalisé si vous écrivez 500 mots, par exemple. Je ne compte pas un point de chacun. C'est au prorata de la taille de votre texte. Donc, pas d'inquiétude là-dessus. Donc, voilà. There it is. That's what you have to do. Everything is on Teams as well for the dates and everything. So if you have questions, contact me. It will be my pleasure to help you out. We will look at the crap test document in a second. Okay, so here is the crap test / source validation document. So first, source, audio or video, and the second one, your text. Title, author, publisher, if it's a website, sometimes you don't necessarily have the name of the person. If it's a YouTube channel, tell me what channel it is from. Again, date, number of words, etc. The listening grid and reading grid, you have to write down the main ideas and supporting ideas, what you think they are, in your own words. I put numbers just to give you an idea, but the numbers will not be the same. You can modify that at your liking. As long as you have most of the main ideas and supporting ideas that are listed in the text, and this will help you out with your content, obviously. But paraphrase, that's the key. Put it in your own words. So you do this for each of the sources, and then you justify the reliability of your sources by putting them through the crap test as we saw on week 2. So for instance, how recent is the info? How recently has been updated? Has it been updated? Is it current enough? Well, as I mentioned when I talked about the crap test, if you're talking about a historical figure, let's say Alexander the Great, you don't need to have very, very recent information. If you're talking about, let's say, Elon Musk, well, that would be more pertinent to have some very recent sources because he's still very active in his field. So consider what you need for your research and justify accordingly. Reliability, what kind of info? Is it opinion? Is it balanced? Again, it's okay for you to use an opinion text as a source, but you have to consider that it is someone else's opinion, not a fact necessarily. You could quote that person, like X person said that Alexander the Great was blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can present it as someone else's words. Just make sure that you consider this as opinion and not as fact, if it's an opinion. authority, who's the creator, who's the author, what are his credentials, is he an expert on the field? So it's okay if you don't find all of the answers. Make sure that the sources you pick are good enough. Doesn't mean that they are perfect, but they have to be good enough, and you have to treat it accordingly, as I said. If it's not really pertinent, well, don't use it. And that's it. You can answer some or most of the questions depending on your source. And so you have to do that for both. If you don't have enough words in one, you have to do two sources. So it would be easier for you to pick a longer one. For your content, you obviously can pick other sources. Just pick two for that. But then for your research, you can actually add others. You just don't need to fill out a form for each of them. So pick two, one that has to be video or audio, and one that is text, and then you can continue do further research and have other content. That's fine. Just, you don't have to do this for every source that you pick, just for these two. And that's it. Yay. Bye.